Hi, I'm Steve Andrews. I've been writing the Tuesday tips columns at Ultiworld.com. I want to talk a little bit talked about it in my last article, and some people have asked me some questions about a problem that I had, which was rounding and how I fixed it. So, I mean, the problem I would have is that when I started 4 or 5 years ago, is that I would kind of start with a reach back, right? So many of us do. So you go into reach back, but from this position, I was always throwing these kind of big, weak anhyzers. So I didn't quite know why. And the reason is kind of this: when you see that when I'm reaching back, I'm getting behind myself, right? So I'm behind myself, and then when I tried to throw, I would kind of throw from this kind of like shoulder position of throwing, and I'd go way outside and throw this kind of, here's the rounding, and then here's the kind of casting it. So I knew that was wrong, and I kind of could tell from my disc flight that it wasn't working. So, I was still I was in this position, which didn't feel horrible, and I knew I shouldn't throw with my shoulder, so I tried to throw with my hips, right? So the way you should, which is to clear your hips. But the problem is, when I got to this position and then did the right thing, which is to throw with your lower body first, I was still doing it, right? It was doing it less, it was a little better, but it wasn't solving the problem. So, and golf has this problem too. In golf, you have this situation where people talk about getting stuck, right? So Tiger would get stuck, and if you're stuck back here, your way to come through it is either to come way inside and either hit like a giant push, or to try to close the club face with your hands and hit a big snap hook, right? Well, disc golf, you kind of get in the same place of being kind of stuck. So the way I solved it, and what I kind of realized, was that the problem was in the reach back. And there's a lot of people, whether it's overthrow or spin and throw, they're kind of talking about the weaknesses of the reach back, which is that whenever I started with the disc moving back first, I started with that reach back, I would get in this kind of stuck position. And then if I tried to turn my shoulders, I only made it worse, right? I would go get behind myself, and then when I turned my shoulders, I would get in a kind of worse position. And so when I try to do the right things, I find myself moving in the wrong direction. So the thing that I realized was, as long as I start my turn and then have a reach back, my position is really different. Here, I'm here instead of back here. So if I turn with the shoulders first, then if I unwind my hips, I get in a really good throwing position, right? So if I turn with the shoulders first, then when I turn my hips through, I get in a place kind of where I want to be. So that was really the solution, which was to turn your shoulders. And the idea of whether you may not even need a reach back. So the reach back, as long as it comes with, and at the end, and it extends from your turn rather than starts with your hand, then it's a really smooth throw. So, if you don't decide to reach back much at all, if your tempo, and we did an article in Tuesday Tips about timing and tempo, if your tempo is really fast and you really get through it quickly, then it might be that you just turn and then turn back through. And in a sense, what you are is you're like Seppo Paiute, right? The turn, there's not much of an extension at all. If your timing and tempo is slower, kind of a smooth acceleration, then it might be that as you turn and extend, you look more like Eagle or longer like Will Shoestrick, then you might have a longer turn. But as long as I was turning first, then I was getting in a pretty good position. And so the reach back, whether you reach or not, is not really that big of a deal depending on your throw. But if you are, make it the culmination of your body turn rather than the way you lead yourself into the disc. So again, there are beautiful, all kinds of wonderful, helpful hints out there in different websites. Overthrow does beautifully kind of shot stuff. But I hope this helps. Thanks so much.